Yeah, peace guys, your boy Fonzie New Tribe at online.com. So I'm gonna share a bit of a conversation from a call with some we'll say Abdul for the record. Um a conversation with a Muslim. We were speaking on quite a few things pertaining to the faith of Islam. Now one of the major criticisms that often comes up is the man that they call Prophet Muhammad, who allegedly married a child when she was 6 and consummated at 9 years old. So, there's a lot of controversy around that. So I will play some of this clip with Abdul and get his thoughts on this.
And the custom of the Arabs at the time was if you had a daughter by the age of 3 years old, they would bury her alive because the perspective was having a daughter was a burden to society. Okay, so that's one narrative you have to understand.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
when I
yeah, yeah, I know. I hear that. That's like a wormhole because I generally stay away from that one. I do hear that a lot. I mean, I know
I don't run from it.
I don't
I
agree.
address people with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just mean in terms of like I know it's an ongoing debate. People say
Yeah,
he married a child when she was what 9 years old or something, and I mean
yeah.
the thing is, the best argument I've heard in regards to that is if there's a child, why wouldn't you adopt her and take her in as a daughter instead of marrying her as a wife or something? So it's like that. I mean, and I was like, you know what? But there's people say there's no adoption in Islam; it's illegal or something.
No, no. Here's the thing. You have to realize he married her before the revelation of. No, did he marry her before? No, I think it was after, just a little after. What's his name? At that time, yeah, the legislation for adoption hadn't come out, but for the same reason I just told you, Arabs wasn't trying to have daughters; they were killing them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's why I was saying you have to understand the dynamic of the society, and also they other people would much rather what's his name instead of having their own daughter, they're not gonna adopt another person's child. Yeah, that's not even their name.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I believe
and
in adoption.
yeah,
Not how like some of the I guess the Western people do it, where they go to like Africa or some places and take the kids and say they're bringing them to a
yeah.
better
No, they're just trying to show off.
yeah, I'm not but I do in principle agree with because there are going to be cases where children are going to be in some cases parentless and they're going to need parents to step up. You know what I
Also,
mean?
I wanted to add that also these were marauding tribes these were not cities, and these were not like places where security was paramount. So a lot of women could have been subjected to kidnapping, let alone children. I'm talking about men, like boys and girls, or so on and so forth. And it's all child abuse has been a thing in human society for however long. And remember, we have laws to guard them. Imagine at a time when it was like Game of Thrones, where none of that was around. So you have to also think about if it was such a thing where in the society it was a bad thing or so on and so forth, there would have been uproar about it from those that were not following Muhammad, peace be upon him. However, when that had happened, yeah, everyone was in agreement because that society at the time, the children are not in a society where they're protected like how they are now. They're sheltered. They actually have to live a dangerous life if they are outside of Mecca. So if they're going to travel from like one city to city, you're in the desert. At that point, you're subjected to pirates. You're subjected to wildlife. You're subjected to the actual elements themselves. Like, it's not an easy life. It was a harsh life back then, especially for the Arabs. That's why Caesar never went over there. He was like, what the hell am I going to do with all these marauding tribes? But if we were going to talk about the sexual society in Rome, which I'm not going to bring up because people always want to say we don't bring two wrongs. I'm not. But if we want to talk about the era of that time and how people conducted themselves sexually, whether it would be adult, male, female, heterosexually or homosexually, Rome is the one where all of that stuff comes out from.
Yeah, but I don't think I get. I don't think we've. I'm not to say it hasn't existed, but I don't think we've had any cases of somebody marrying a child, let alone somebody who is regarded by many as their prophet, you know. So I think like you said
And
with the Romans,
the
everybody
Spartans
look at the
who
Romans
the
and them.
Spartans who were considered warriors and pretty much like the standard of manhood in this society would take a boy with them as a sex partner on their escapades. And I'm gonna say that
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
I mean
limit
they
it to
say
the
that in
Europeans.
yeah.
Homosexuality and men and warriors using little boys as sex objects has been something that's gone across the planet, yeah, for thousands of years. So like
Yeah,
it's something that people don't actually want to talk about, but they want to pinpoint certain things.
no,
If you wanted to talk
I
about
think they talk
abuse
about it
around
with Roman
the
Greek. Everybody talk about it with the Romans and the Greeks. I think that's kind of not like a
yeah,
common knowledge in
but
terms
there
of
was
the.
also in the Dead Sea communities, and also for if on an Islamic account, the places of where Sodom and Gomorrah happened is between Oman to Iraq.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it wouldn't be not to say surprising because I don't want to point out the sexual deviancy of certain types of peoples and groups, but as you said, it can be planetary or
It
what
is because right now
or widespread. But
the people that get a lot of slack are Southern Africans in the West right now because of the culture of opiates and other things that are a big issue in Southern Africa. Like so that's what people are getting a bad rap for now in England. So like it is kind of planetary.
yeah, I mean, but as I said, it's not something I go for, and I even as not even saying the argument or even in bringing it up with the Muslims, but I've heard it many a times about the nine, Aisha. I think to be fair, I think Aston on this interview he did speak a little about Aisha as well. I think because people have I think Aston said she killed the prophet or something to some extent. He said, when
I
she
mean,
when she
it's lovely for people to make speculations, but here's the thing: you have to realize that when you make a claim, you have to see how the people reacted. You know what I mean? So that's
well, I
why
mean
it's.
I want to get
Uh-huh.
some this guy Aston who you've heard. I definitely want to get I mean he definitely want to come back on the platform. I want to set up maybe more, especially going forward in the future,
You
some
see, I'd
more.
love to hear more of what they say because I'm not very sure on. See, as I replied to him, I replied with a very very basic thing. I'm just saying like, okay, those are stories, but right now. Allah Himself in our Quran that both of us listen to say He's our friend. So right, it say He's His friend. So we don't really have a place to place that opinion over anything in the Quran. If we did that, we no longer believe in the Quran.
Yeah, so there you have it, guys. You heard for yourself. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, a lot of people feel that this type of ideology and mindset is what leads to the child marriages and stuff like that we see in the Islamic world that can be considered as legal to them. Now, the interesting thing about the conversation with Abdul, he had a lot of, dare I say, excuses, making comparisons to the Greeks and the Romans. And I mean, he even inferred himself that two wrongs don't necessarily make a right. So it sounds to me like there was an admittance of it being wrong, or maybe saying like, okay, it was wrong in that time, or it's not wrong now. So there's a lot of confusion around this area when it comes to asking people about it. At least he attempted to make an explanation. Like he said, he wasn't going to run away from the question. Some people they do run from it, or they don't have any answers. So he tried his best to give his answer. I mean, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. I mean, me personally, not something I agree with, not something I ever will agree with. But you know what we do on this show, we get people's perspectives and thoughts. He tried to explain it. I wasn't going to comment him too hard, but what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We're going to be back with some new drops as well. Also, especially some more question and answers with members of the Islamic faith.